In this exercise, you will be creating a bus tracker, a real-time bus tracker. The data will be from the MBTA, that's Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority. And as you can see, this is their API portal. There are the steps to become a registered developer, which you might want to try for practice. Now note that in order to experiment, you don't need an API key. And so in this case, we will be looking at a very specific route, a bus called Bus 1 that travels between the MIT campus and Harvard's campus. The URL that we will use is the following. You can see there we are hitting the MBTA/vehicles. That is the source of the information. Then we're filtering for bus route 1, which is the bus I mentioned, the one that travels between the two schools. And we are including the trip information as well. So if we navigate to a browser and paste in that link, you will see the current at this specific second data for those buses. And we don't know how many buses there are. We don't know what they're doing, if they're running or if they're stopped, but all of that data is captured within this file. So if we were to look, say, for latitude and longitude, you can see there that there are a number of buses in the latitude and longitude is being captured by this document, which you can download and visualize within a mapping platform, which will be your task for this exercise. I will get you started by writing the code that periodically queries the service to pull down the latest data. So let's close these tabs and write some code. We're going to start off by writing the function that will reach out and pull down that data programmatically. We're going to use an async function, so we can use fetch. I'm going to call this one getBusLocations. And then we're going to write the body of the function. Inside of it, we're going to have the URL that we just used. And so let's go ahead and paste that there. The next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to make that call and catch that in a response. And we're going to wait for fetch to complete. That is, for all of that data to come back. And what we're passing to fetch is the URL. We're then going to extract the data that is within that response, and we are also going to wait for that to be extracted. So we will write response.json, and then we will return this data to the calling function. So that will be json.data. We're now going to write the function that we will call run simply to pull getBusLocations. This will be async function as well, since we will wait for the response from the request to get the buses. And inside of it, we're going to call the function that we just wrote, and I will set that in locations, and we will wait for it to complete. So this is getBusLocations. And I see that I've missed out a letter here on async. This is why I get the red underline. And now I'm going to write to the console simply a date stamp. This is good practice when you're trying to track how frequently something is being used. And I will simply write the date. Then I will write the locations to the screen. And next we're going to create a timer. That timer is simply going to be set timeout, and we're going to call ourselves our own function to be able to once again call getBusLocations. And I'm going to call this every 15 seconds. And this is important for you to note. if you hit one of these services too frequently, you're going to get banned. And the reason for that is that you could hit it every fraction of a second, millions of hits, per second potentially, and that would cause an overload on the system. And so typically, if you space it out about every 15 seconds, but it depends on the service, that should be good to show that you're not trying to take the service down. So in this case, as you can see here, we've written two functions. The very first one reaches out to MBTA with the URL that we showed, which gets the bus data for route 1. And then we have another function that polls the get bus locations function every 15 seconds. You can see there the call, then we're writing a date stamp, then we write the locations. And now let's take a look and see if this is running. We'll go ahead and reload the page. Let me make my font a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna go ahead and reload the page here. And nothing is happening, and that is because I have not called run, which I need to do to start this process. So I'm going to go ahead and write run here. And then I'm going to go ahead and reload the page once more. And as you can see there, very, very quickly we get the first response. And you can see here that that was at 15:02:38. And in 15 seconds, we should get the next one. I'll go ahead and wait for it before I start looking. Here is the next one at 15:02:53. And if I expand this, you can see there the different parts of the data that are coming back in this JSON file. And if I expand further and I look at attributes, you can start to see here in transit 2, the number of seats that are available, but more importantly, the latitude and longitude, which you will need to extract in order to be able to place on the map. So in this exercise, you're going to bring everything together: your knowledge of maps, your knowledge of timers with the map, your knowledge of being able to animate and track data on the map, and you will do so with live data from the MBTA. If for some reason you happen to get banned and you can't get back on, you can use data from another city. Many cities around the world are now sharing this information real time with developers. And so you can make use of that data to be able to create your bus tracker.